Let us watch this video and see Senegal Prime Minister fire Senegal President for being part of the 5 African presidents who have their visit with Donald Trump last month. So Senegal Prime Minister come out and fire Senegal President for being part, and he even said it's very painful for Senegal President being part, and even said Africans cannot survive without Donald Trump. It pains Senegal Prime Minister where he come out and fire him. So there is too much tension on Senegal President and Senegal Prime Minister. Let us watch the video.
Across the continent, gasping in disbelief. The once unshakable alliance between President Bassirou Diomaye Faye and Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko has collapsed in a spectacular public showdown. Just last week, at the 11th anniversary celebration of their party PASTEF, Sonko unleashed a verbal assault on Faye that was as shocking as it was unprecedented. With the ferocity of a wounded lion, he accused his longtime ally and protege of abandoning their revolutionary vision, failing to defend him against relentless attacks, and sabotaging the bold reforms that were meant to free Senegal from the clutches of neo-colonialism. The eruption of this crisis has sent shockwaves through Dakar's bustling streets, from the vibrant markets of Sandaga to the university halls where young Senegalese once chanted, "Diomaye is Sonko," with fervent hope. Barely a year after their historic victory in the 2024 presidential election, Faye and Sonko, 2 men who embodied the promise of a liberated Senegal, are now locked in a bitter power struggle that could bring their government to its knees. For a nation that has long prided itself as a beacon of stability in West Africa, this rift is a gut punch, raising fears that the revolutionary fervour that ousted the old guard may give way to chaos, division, and the resurgence of neo-colonial forces. But honestly, why is all this happening all of a sudden? Is there someone fueling all this? Hit that like button if you haven't already, and now let's find out. On July 10, 2025, the PASTEF 11th anniversary celebration in Dakar was supposed to be a moment of triumph, a chance to reflect on the party's journey from a scrappy opposition movement to the ruling force that upended Senegal's political landscape. Instead, it became the stage for a dramatic public clash that no one saw coming. Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, the fiery populist whose charisma and defiance made him the face of Senegal's youth rebellion, took to the podium and delivered a speech that left the audience stunned. In a voice brimming with frustration and defiance, he turned his guns on President Faye, accusing him of failing to lead with authority and leaving him exposed to a barrage of political and media attacks. "You have to let me govern," Sonko declared, his words cutting through the humid Dakar air like a machete. "We'll see if things happen like this. I call on Bassirou Diomaye Faye. He just has to take responsibility, otherwise he'll let me govern. He'll let me govern. I'm very clear." The crowd, a mix of loyal PASTEF supporters and curious onlookers, fell into a hushed silence, punctuated only by gasps and murmurs. For those who had followed Sonko's career, this was vintage Ousmane, unapologetic, confrontational, and unafraid to speak truth to power, even if that power was his closest ally. Sonko's grievances were twofold. First, he expressed deep frustration at what he sees as Faye's passive leadership style, which he believes is undermining their shared vision of dismantling Senegal's neo-colonial structures. The government's failure to deliver on key campaign promises, such as renegotiating exploitative oil and gas contracts, abandoning the CFA franc, and addressing the crushing cost of living crisis, has left Sonko feeling like the fall guy for a stalled revolution. Second, Sonko made it clear that he feels constrained as Prime Minister, lacking the full authority to implement the sweeping reforms he championed, meaning that Faye is hoarding power within the presidency, sidelining his Prime Minister and diluting the revolutionary zeal that brought them to power. For a man who has spent years rallying Senegal's youth with promises of radical change, this perceived betrayal cuts deep. The speech was a political earth for foreign powers, particularly France. In 2014, Sonko founded PASTEF, a party built on the principles of sovereignty, transparency, and Pan-Africanism. Faye, his trusted ally, joined the movement and rose to become its Secretary General, standing by Sonko's side through years of persecution. Their bond was more than political, it was deeply personal. Faye named one of his sons after Sonko, a gesture that spoke volumes about their friendship. When Sonko emerged as a rising star in the 2019 presidential election, securing 16% of the vote at the age of 44, he became a target of the establishment led by then-President Macky Sall. In 2021, Sonko was arrested on charges of rape, which he and his supporters denounced as a politically motivated plot to silence him. The arrest sparked nationwide protests, with young Senegalese clashing with police in scenes that recalled the anti-colonial